quick disclaimer before the video begins. The devs recently released an actual letter on Steam on the May the 15th, which discussed a lot of the issues that were currently with the actual inventory system, the AI being a bit over the top and other things like that, but they released that after the fact that I already made a good portion of this video, so some of the points may not kind of hit accurately, or they're going to probably discuss and turn around and say, hey, well, hold on a minute, this video is a bit out of date considering the devs have finally addressed it. So just putting that out there, you know, some of my points I do make is still relevant to the discussion, and I guess we'll see what happens. But anyway, let's get into the video. I don't think I need to really discuss what Generation Zero is, but in a bit of a overall condensed context for people who haven't played it or seen any real gameplay footage of it, Generation Zero is basically a 4-player cooperative experience type of game where you basically explore like an island off the mainland of Sweden in the 1989s surrounded by robots. But for the people who have come to this video who are veterans or long-term players or people who have dabbled and dabbed here and there within the game, I think there is a core, or a few core issues with Generation Zero that need to be addressed by the devs. Now, I know recently that they have actually released a post stating what issues that they need to be fixing in the next update, which was posted on the May the 15th. The only problem being is that, well, we don't know when that update is realistically going to drop, at least as far as when the actual post says. It doesn't really say much other than, you know, we will try and fix it and, you know, we'll share more in the coming weeks, which, to be honest, is not really handy, but there we go. Without that being the case, though, to get into the actual main part of this video, I think we need to discuss some of the good parts of Generation Zero before we actually get into some of the negatives. And let me just pull up a list here just to kind of give you a rough understanding of what the game has to offer. So, in the hindsight, the basic foundation, the overall concept, the kind of some of the graphical fidelity of the game and whatnot is very well done. The sound system is phenomenal, like within the game, the sound effects, the ambient, like environmental like sounds, the robotics, like the robotic sound effects that each robot makes is very unique and distinct. The actual overall gunplay is kind of satisfying. It's very meaty, it's very in-depth and kind of worth people at least seeing or checking out if you already have the game. But that is all I can really say for the game, is that it has good graphics, it has good sound design, and it has some, you know, overall some moments of satisfying elements within it. And also a good, interesting, basic premise of a story. And I try to emphasize this, a basic premise that is good, but is still flawed in a lot of ways, and there is a reason for that, which we'll get into later. But aside from some of the good parts of the game, which obviously I didn't really pick on that much, there is still lots we have to discuss about the negative, because that's kind of the main reason why this video even exists. I'm probably, you know, some veterans on the game, or some people who enjoy the game heavily, I kind of obviously disagree, but that's of, you know, their own nature, their own opinion. They can do what they want, you know, more power to you. If you love the game, I'm glad you're enjoying it, but unfortunately for a good portion of people, the game in its current state, and possibly the future of it, is not looking great overall, and is not currently great due to its current situation with its, you know, its imbalancing and overall just really poor mechanics and stuff. So let's get into the main segment about, or one of the many segments I should say, about why this game needs a lot more polish and a lot more love put into the game, a lot more content for the players to do. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let's talk about the current issues with the stability of the game, or the technical aspect. One of the many problems with the technical or performance and stability grade of the game is, in my opinion, it's a fucking mess. I've had the game randomly crash, I've had the game randomly kind of like have massive frame jitters and skips, I've had this really weird graphical glitch, and I'll show it up on screen now, but as like my friend and I had a really weird graphical glitch where every time you entered this one bunker down in the bottom north, like I think it was like southwest part of the map, I think it was the, it was the artillery bunker. It's one of the main missions you have to go to blow up and prevent the artillery shells from continually firing, or some other nonsense like that. But you go into this bunker and your vision is impaired heavily. Now, the video I'm showing on screen is a kind of, oh, it's only a small, you know, it's only a small minor little thing. It's in the corner of the screen, but some of the other iterations of it is horrendous. You'll have it where it's almost all over your screen. If you go on Reddit, you'll even see videos of the same bug that's plaguing some people. Like, it's almost borderline unplayable in this state because of the fact is one of the main missions to progress the story, at least as far as I know, is in this bunker, and you can't progress realistically because you can't see shit. You have to kind of, you know, wiggle and weave your way and look at a certain angle and a certain corner of the bunker just to achieve the ability to even be able to fire and shoot enemies, which is not a good starting off point for this entire technical aspect to look at. The other issues I've had, aside from crashes and frame skips, is the overall weirdness and bugginess with some of the AI and just kind of their weapons breaking. There's one instance, or the AI themselves breaking. I've had one instance where an actual group of AI were just out in a field just firing at nothing. They were just shooting thin air and they wouldn't move. They were just stood there constantly firing into the exact same spot in a field, which again should be shown on screen right now. It's a complete mess. It doesn't make any sense why the AI decided to just break like this, considering I was over there shooting them and they ignored me entirely and just carried on firing. So I just stood there and decided to say, hey, fuck it, you know, this needs to be shown a little bit. And I think the other one, probably the worst type of bug you could ever come across, is the AI firing an infinite missile barrage at you. Now, I'm betting a lot of people haven't seen this bug, or at least haven't seen it as much on Reddit. But here's a clip, and I'm not even kidding you. If you just listen to the audio, you'll understand. It isn't like, oh, it's only shooting a couple now and again, the visuals are glitched. No, if you listen to the background now, you'll understand that this robot is shooting constantly. Just listen to the bell. You see what I mean? I don't think I need to kind of discuss how that kind of bug would completely fuck you over in the middle of gameplay. So that in itself is a bit of a shit show, and it needs to be fixed. I don't really need to stress that enough. I don't think many people could disagree with that one. But overall, the stability, the performance grade, and the current technical aspect of the game is a mixed bag at best and kind of broke at worst. Because sometimes the game will work almost flawlessly without any bugs, and other times the game will just break unconsiderably. I've had stuff where I couldn't interact with items as well. I've had other things where, you know, that lighting glitch again in, like, the bunker that was causing issues, and so many other stuff that people have reported countless times. But overall, the game is just in a really unplayable state, and I don't understand why there hasn't been any hotfixes released to address these issues. Every other dev I know out there does release hotfixes to release various game-breaking bugs or various gameplay affecting issues that, you know, kind of need to be fixed as soon as possible. Otherwise, the player base will just stop playing your game and go the other way. You kind of need to be on top of this. But again, as alluding to earlier about the whole devs acknowledging these issues and bugs and the whole imbalance with AI, they said that the update wasn't coming out until, like, at least another few weeks or so. So, again, there is a big disconnect between a patch-like update for bug fixes and an actual content update. They decided to lump those two in one, which is stupid, because you should be releasing actual bug fixes first, try and fix all the issues of the current stuff you've added in, which, again, was part of the major sort of the anniversary update, which incorporates some other stuff, including the new inventory system, which we'll get to later, about why that's fucking terrible in its own right. But, you know, in general, they should release updates that actually fix these bugs so people can play the game in a much more complete state, even. And unfortunately, they don't. They don't really release hotfixes. It's very rare they ever release hotfixes. They, I think, have released, like, a couple in the past, but, like, most of the time they just ignore it for, like, weeks or even a month or two before they release another patch for some more content, which is not the way to do it, in my opinion. But hey, you know, you do you at the end of the day. If people stop playing your game, it's not my fault, really. So now, let's get on to the next part, which is, I think, a major issues of the gameplay and the inventory system. The inventory system, as it is, with the newest update, since the anniversary update back in, like, I think it was, like, March or April, something like that. It was, well, yeah, it was around March because the game came out on the 26th of March. So, yeah, it was around March, April time when this whole shit kind of just went into the bin, I guess you could say, of the inventory system. The inventory system is a good step forward, but is 2 steps back. And I think the best way to really kind of show this to you is through a bit of gameplay, which you'll probably see here now, is in order to even, like, to navigate your menus is a pain in the ass. The weight system on its own is a good addition, and the whole, like, menu, and you can carry more stuff, is good. But the fact that they thought that no basic quality of life features such as item sorting by like weight or rarity or item amount or other things like that as not coming in as the default package for the new inventory system is absurd. Like, any time there is a game that does this sort of inventory system and, you know, decides to do a big update to the inventory system such as this, you'd think that they would add a system in place where you could, you know, actually sort out your inventory in such a meaningful way where you could then actually, you know, kind of manage your inventory, manage your stash box and your ammo amount and the amount of meds you have and other consumables. But unfortunately, the game doesn't have that. The game has no way to really, you know, sort by item type, rarity, the amount of an item or anything like that. It's absurd. The other thing to kind of go hand in hand with the inventory system is just the really piss poor UI. And to kind of give a good example of this is trying to change ammo for weaponry. It is the most tedious and unnecessary amount of menus or sub-menus I've ever seen to just swap out ammo. Here's what you gotta do, by the way, just in case people are not getting the picture of how stupid this is. If you're, say, for example, in the middle of combat, and you're using, for example, the 7.62 assault rifle, I'm going to call it the Automega 5, yeah, Automega 4, sorry, and you run out of ammo for that gun with using the FMJ ammo, well, now you want to try and switch to, you know, armor piercing. Here's what you got to do, by the way, to get into your inventory to swap out the ammo. You go into your inventory screen. You click on the weapon, you click on attachments, you then go into clicking on ammo, and then you click onto the ammo within that menu then to then swap out ammo, and then you've got to back out of all menus. So let's just count how many unnecessary sub-menus they get you to go into. So you go into the main menu, which is the main inventory screen. So that's the main initial menu of the game when you're in gameplay itself. Then you click on the weapons attachments. That's one sub-menu. Then you click onto the ammo like the ammo screen to get to the ammo screen, which is, you know, a second sub menu, and then you click on the ammo. So not only do you have to go into the main menu, but that's 2 additional sub menus just to swap out ammo. Now bear in mind, if you're out in the field and just wandering around and notice you got low ammo and decide to swap out to another like ammo type that you have that's like you got more in quantity of, that's not so bad, I guess. But when you're in the middle of combat, fighting robots, and trying to trying to survive, which is the whole point of the game, it fails on you miserably because you could literally get, like, a robot could run around the corner and shoot you in the face, and the next thing you know, your entire surviving aspect is thrown out the window because you're too busy fucking around in sub-menus to just swap out basic ammo types, which the devs could have easily just fixed this issue by simply having it where when you hold down R for more than like 2 seconds or something like that, a little like sort of like radial menu would come up and then you just drag your mouse over to each type of ammo, and then, you know, you could just swap out ammo on the fly without ever having to go into any sort of menus or sub-menus. That was one of the ways they could have easily fixed that issue, but instead of testing their inventory system before releasing the actual update and thinking, maybe we should kind of make it quicker and easier, more simple for people to, you know, swap out ammo, that's not the case here. They just released the inventory system, which is a good step forward, but then, as I said, 2 steps back. It's honestly a really poorly designed system, and it needs to be addressed. Not just the whole ammo swapping part of it, but just the overall how to, like, sort your inventory system out by weight, item rarity, item amount. Basic quality of life features you'd expect in an inventory game. A game especially is built around sort of like the looter-shooter aspect, which the game is. Let's not try and sugarcoat it here. It tries to be a looter-shooter in some weird, twisted sense of a way, which we'll get to again later. But, yeah, it's one of the basic things you need in a game like this, and unfortunately they don't give you that that control, which is absurd. But, you know, it's neither here nor there, since they said that they are going to address it, but that could be months away due to the current world's predicaments and, you know, with them having to work from home and whatnot. So again, there is a lot of kind of missed opportunity for them to actually do this right, and instead kind of just fucked it up and then having to fix it later on. So yeah, I think the inventory system needs those improvements of quality of life and a radial menu for ammo at least, or some other way to, you know, swap out ammo without having to go into so many different submenus. But let's now skip straight on to the next part, which is going to be talking about the gameplay loop and kind of the rewards that you get from playing the game in that loop, or the lack thereof. So, with the gameplay loop, this is the bit that's probably going to kind of be a bit more of a longer segment in the video, and the video's already, like, I think almost 20 minutes long now, so there's a bit there to kind of cut out and modify, but the actual gameplay loop is subpar. It's not terrible. The foundation is there for some good, interesting, like, sort of looter-shooter aspects, or, you know, there is some basic premise to how it could have been done better, but overall, the execution of the actual gameplay loop is kind of not that great. The basic gameplay loop is, you know, you explore, you loot, and you survive. This is the three basic premises of the game. You explore, loot, survive. Explore, loot, survive. That's basically the three main things. And by the way, the whole survive segment is basically killing the robots. There's no actual, like, I guess you could say survival elements from other survival games, like food and water and sort of like a proper, more in-depth medical system. I don't think the game needs those features, but, you know, if you're going to call yourself a survival game, which the tag under the game in Steam and various other people have said, it's a survival game, so, you know, if you're going to have it, you might as well try and at least incorporate some more survival element type features, instead of kind of, you know, going bare bones and being like, oh, you get injured, survival. Like, no. With that being said, of the tangent over about the survival aspects, the actual gameplay loop is subpar. There's stuff missing in the game. There's a lot of, like, for example, the rewards for doing that gameplay loop. So, for example, in most looter-shooter type-based games, whenever you do these, you know, the typical gameplay loop of just, oh, you're running around exploring, you know, you loot stuff, you kill stuff, you level up, all that sort of jazz, and rinse repeat sort of thing. Similar to, like, Destiny 2, or, I don't know, I guess you could say, in a weird way, Diablo, I guess. That is a looter-type game. It's not a looter-shooter, but it's a looter-type dungeon crawler game. But you get my point, is with any looter-based game, there is always a sense of you have to have other means for the game, for the player to, like, be like, oh, there's more stuff out there for me to grab, there's higher tier items, there's more, like, this, like, higher, like, grade stuff, which there is in the game. You know, you have, like, dilapidated, worn, I think, or well-worn, and then you've got, like, worn, good, like, the purple grade I forget of, and then, like, the exceptional one, which is, like, the 5-crown version, or the 5-star version, whichever you want to call it. And then you have the 6-star ones, which is the experimentals. Now, I'll get into the experimentals a little bit later on this segment of this review in a bit, because that bit like needs its own entire separate discussion in this video, because that is a bit more of a rant, but we'll get to that again later on. The other main issue about the actual lack of loot in the game is kind of abhorrent. For example, there's only so many guns in the game. As far as I can remember, there's the Muller PP, there's the Glock 17, the revolver. Then when it comes to, like, you know, like primaries, at least to a degree, you've got, you know, the shotguns, you've got, like, the Automega 4, the Automega 5, the rocket launcher, the SMGs, and the sniper rifles. There's about, I think, in total, anywhere between, oh, and the LMGs as well, yeah. SMGs and LMGs, you got, like, 2 to 3 different types of LMGs. So you got, like, about, oh, I don't know, I guess you could say 15 weapons in the game. But literally the only reward for finding the same gun but in different rarity is kind of pointless. And this is why I said that the gameplay loop is a bit of a mess. Because when you get around to actually finding said weapons, like, you know, like when you first find those weapons for the first time, you're like, oh my god, yeah, I finally found the 50 cal PVG 90 or something like that. You know, you've got, like, the 50 cal variant of a sniper rifle that will pierce armor and do a lot of damage and be very rewarding. And then, say for example, it's like dilapidated, and then you move on later on, you find another one, oh, it's green grade, that's cool, and then you go like the blue grade, oh yeah, that's cool, and then the purple, and so on and so forth. You find like higher qualities of the same weapons in the game, which give a bit more accuracy, a bit more range, a bit more like, a bit more damage here and there, you know, kind of makes it feel more, you know, up to snuff like it should be. But the problem is that that's it. That's the entire game loop for the whole looting part of the game, is just finding slightly better, like upgraded variations of your gun. So like slightly better stats of the same rifle in a better quality. It's like, for example, if you think of I think it's in the same boat to a degree as what Anthem did. Anthem had it where most of the, like, there was like maybe 2 or 3 different variations of guns, and then there was like sort of like different grades, you know, like blue, purple, and like masterworks and stuff like that would be basically the same model except just a bit better and have some sort of legendary stats and stuff. It's the same principle here, including especially with the experimentals. And I think it's time we kind of get on to the experimentals to kind of complete this segment. The experimentals, you never find them. I don't think I have to really stress this, but I'll put an image up on screen to kind of give a bit of context to the story I'm going to give you here. It's a very short one, don't worry. But, for example, my friend, the same person I played with like this game mostly with, in co-op, there is this image here, which you're seeing, which is basically him showing me about 16, 17 rivals. Bear in mind, almost all these rivals here are about level 4. Some are like level 2 or level 3, but pretty much almost all of them are level 4. And now, mind you, most of them are tanks and harvesters. So they are like the end game kind. Well, I say end game. The hardest ones to fight out of all the robots, at least in some cases. But in general, there is, you know, a lot of these rivals, and he goes across the map. And I told him, hey, go through the map and kill every single one of your rivals, and let me know if you get anything of realistic value from them. You know, like any sort of like exceptional, like 5-star grade or even experimental weapons, or any higher grade attachments and other things. He played the game. He went through all of it. He, you know, killed, I think, over half or almost all of his 17 rivals. Didn't quite finish them all because he kind of got bored and gave up, and there's a reason for that. Out of almost 17, so I'd say about 14 to 15 of the actual level 4 rivals he defeated, which, by the way, were about Phoenix class or higher, he got mostly just ammo, random like consumables like the small like fuel tanks, and maybe some EMP cells, again more ammo, and maybe if he was lucky a 5-star attachment, which he already has achieved through other means of the game. So out of, and mind you, it took him about maybe 5 or 6 hours to get around killing them all, because, you know, he didn't want to kind of teleport back and forth. He kind of want to explore, like kill things as he made his way up there, just for the little extra XP and extra ammo and stuff to kind of build his way up, so he had enough to fight and kill them. And within that whole time, he only achieved 5-star grade, exceptional grade kind of attachments. Not one custom like 5-star weapon, or even a level 6 experimental, weapon. There was none of that involved in the entire debacle of him fighting all of them. So he went through thousands of rounds of each weapon type to kill these robots, because mind you, again, these are level 4 rivals, Phoenix class or higher, and the class above Phoenix is Apocalypse, which comes from the Alpine Unrest DLC, which are even harder than the Phoenix class. So it's not like as if he was killing prototypes or like military class. He was fighting the big boys, the big league type, you know, enemies, the end game enemies in a way. And through all of that, he got no experimentals, no 5-star exceptional weapons, just maybe 1 or 2 5-star exceptional attachments, and a load of fucking ammo and pointless consumables. And even he said to me himself, mind you, he is, out of me and him and my brother who play the game a lot together, he's the one who's put the most time into the game, and he's even said himself, I love this game, but I can't play it anymore due to the fact of just all the bugs, the glitches, and especially the really unrewarding gameplay. And this is one of the problems that comes with the game, is the unrewarding segment of the gameplay. You loot, but the loot is subpar at best. Now, I'm going to show a clip here, right? This is from a stream by the devs, when someone asked in chat a question of, oh, well, would you... why am I not getting any experimentals? Why am I not getting any of the, the exceptional, 6-star great experimental weapons to get in the game? I've been killing loads of rivals. I've played for like 100+ hours now, and I've still got nothing. What gives? And the entire answer from the devs, in my opinion, was lackluster, shitty, and kind of just a really non-answer, I guess you could say, a non-answer to the question. It was really just kind of evasive. He didn't answer the question. He dodged the question, basically, by giving a really unnecessary non-kind of answer. It was really stupid, but just have a look.
Rivals never drop experimental weapons to me, and I'm level 26. Keep at it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, they're not a guaranteed drop. It's something you will have to, there is a certain amount of luck involved there too. But keep at it, and I'm sure you'll be successful eventually.
Now, if I somehow couldn't get the clip, or maybe the stream went off, or I couldn't find the clip of it anymore and stuff like that, so there'll probably be a little bit of text there saying, hey, fucked up, couldn't find it, sad times. Basically, his words were, and I quote, oh, just keep at it, they're there, they're meant to be a reward, just keep going at it, I'm sure you'll get one eventually. That was his entire answer. Now, to most people, they'd be like, oh, that's not so bad, he's just telling him to keep playing the game. It's like, but when you consider the fact that they put exceptional amount of time into the game, and it's not just him, man. If you go on to like the Steam forums for the game and a lot of the things, you'll see people who have played this game for like 300-400 hours plus and still haven't gotten a single like experimental based weapon out of the game, even after all the updates and all this other stuff, which is just insane to think about. I'm not saying these people have only played like now and again. Like, these people have been playing for like last few weeks to a month or two since the actual anniversary update got dropped, and it's still, they're still missing. They're still non-existent. So again, this is the problem, is the devs even themselves are not being a bit more clear on how often these drop. There is no real, as far as I could tell online, there is no way to find the actual percentage drop rates of these experimentals. So as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty much about 1 to 2%, maybe if you're lucky, less than that, so if you're really unlucky. And I honestly, in my opinion, that is shit. In the entirety of the game, that is fucking piss poor. That should not be the way it should be. And mind you, these people are max level. They're not like level 10 or 15. No, they're like level 28, 29, and 30, and 31. Which, by the way, I think the max rank in the game is 31. Or, yeah, max rank I think is 31, which is an odd number. Which kind of fucks solo players over. But that's... yeah, it's a discussion, but it's not one worth having right now, to be honest, because I'm trying to talk about the main gameplay issues, and the side stuff is more of a sub-conversation to have on stream or other places. So, I think we should kind of come to more towards the end of this review and kind of talk about the last 1 or 2 things I have to discuss. The crafting system is useless. The crafting system from start to finish is garbage. It has no use in the game. All the upgrades you can get in the game are 1%. They are useless. And all you'll be doing most of the game is just collecting loads of pointless junk and shit and crap across the board for literally nothing other than maybe a 1% reduction in bullet damage, or 1% reduction in chemical damage, or fall damage, or some bullshit like that. It's useless. Don't touch the crafting system. It is fucking pointless in its current state as of the recording of this video. The other thing that's useless in the game is the vehicles. Honestly, when they were first adding bikes, like way back, like last year, I thought, oh, they're finally gonna add in bikes. Now they're gonna probably try and work on like maybe like, simple vehicles, or kind of something for the player to like kind of customize, like getting like a normal civilian grade vehicle and then modifying it with like armor plating and maybe some sort of like like a plow, like kind of plow on the front, like some sort of like where you ram it into like the legs of the tanks and they fall over, or something cool like that. There's a lot of potential, like there's a lot of cool possibilities even with that sort of system, but unfortunately they never added in any other vehicle into the game other than bikes, and 3 different colors, and that's it. There's no other like sort of like off-road bikes or motorbikes or even quads, none of it. It's just bikes, pedal bikes, and that's it. And it is useless because it can't go up inclines. You're constantly, you know, even if you drive just down the road, you're gonna get shot off it by some random ass, you know, squad of robots, where it's gonna be like a actual hunter or a runner or something. They're just gonna end up shooting you off it, and it's just not worth it. Honestly, if you're gonna explore the map, just run around. Just run from A to B. Just ignore the bikes and the crafting system actually altogether. It is pointless. Don't go near it. Don't touch it. It's not really worth your time or effort. Now, I think this video is getting a bit too long as it is, to be honest. And I think I should kind of, you know, there's a lot of other things I could discuss about this game and why it's really needing its issues to be fixed. But honestly, there is no way for me personally to kind of convey, at least in the small amount of video time span I kind of want to condense this video to, about 20 or 30 minutes. There's a lot of other issues, such as the story's ending and there's no real conclusions, setting up for a sequel and all that stuff that needs to be talked about. The really kind of average quest system that could be improved upon. The level cap being stupid and unnecessary. The unnecessary ramping of difficulty in the game at the moment, which is going to be fixed apparently, but it's still an issue. The lack of actual of in-game events or dynamic moments happening on the map. So like a random enemy convoy, you go off to stop it, you get loads of like cool loot, or any like real dynamic moments in like the world of the game is just non-existent. There's a lot more I could discuss about the game that could make this video at least an hour plus long. But to be honest, I'd rather not make a video exceptionally long like that, because, you know, people have stuff to do instead of watching my stupid ass rant for like an hour and a half. So I think we should kind of wrap this up here and kind of discuss where I stand with the game and kind of whether or not you should buy it with all these issues and stuff in mind. So in my current opinion about the game as of May 17th, if I remember correctly, or May 18th of today? Yeah, May 17th. In my current opinion of the game, in its current state, the game out of 5 stars is easily 2.5. It's an average game at best. It's not great, it's not insane, it's not revolutionary, and it's, you know, and with all its current issues, in my opinion, I could not recommend this game. In its technical issues, to its lack of rewarding gameplay, to its enemy the AI bugs, to just like the really lack of really anything for the player to do other than these boring side and main missions, which again, I just touch on it and just say that they're not that great. They're very much fetch quests. So in my opinion, don't buy the game unless it's on a very steep sale, or, you know, the devs are giving out free codes or something, at least in its current state as of recording this video, until they fix the inventory system, they fix the AI's ramping of difficulty, and they fix all the technical issues that I've discussed. In its current state, though, just don't go near it. There's a lot of better games on Steam that are full-player cooperative that you can get a lot more money and time out of, such as, for example, Deep Rock Galactic. That game has recently been released as 1.0, and that game is fucking fantastic. That game has barely had any bugs and issues, and that game, and the devs are really responsive and release hotfixes as soon as possible. Unlike some of the devs, which, you know, about the current game we're talking about, kind of are reluctant to do. So anyway, guys, this is my video review on Gen Z a year later, its current predicaments. There's a lot more I could discuss, but I'm not going to, because the video will become too long. But, you know, I'll start be streaming again and doing other things and whatnot in the you know, on Twitch and whatnot. So I'll I'll kind of discuss more of them there, and kind of go into more detail about certain things, and then show, for example, live on Twitch what I mean about a lot of the things. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you have a good day and all, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you around either here on YouTube, or if you really want to, you can follow me on Twitch, and you know, we can have a discussion about whatever game or whatever discussion we're having within each video, and we can kind of talk about things and see where they go. Anyway, guys, without further ado, I'm gonna get out of here. Hope you all have a good day. Peace.